Okay, we're now recording, and it gives me great pleasure to officially welcome Rabbi Bistritsky all the way from Hamburg in Germany. And thank you so much, Rabbi, for your time. I know it's late over there. It's the evening, already late in the evening. For us, it's still the middle of the afternoon. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to put the spotlight on you. And thank you so much for joining us. And please, whenever you're ready, please begin.
Yeah. Hi. So hello from my side. As you said, this is already evening here, but Hamburg, it's very top in the north, and it's still light outside. So I feel almost like midday by you. It's getting very late. Night is after 11:10. So I'm with you together, and I'm very happy to be here. And I want to tell you a little bit about our community, about our Chabad house, about our activities, and also about history of Hamburg, but also history, special in Hamburg. Hamburg was a very famous place, but also some history that connected also to Chabad, because I don't know who, if the rabbi spoke about it, but yesterday was exactly 80 years since the day that the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, arrived in the United States. And this is somehow very connected to Hamburg, to my family, and I will be happy also to share that with. But let me begin. I came to Hamburg with my wife and two little children 18 years ago. I was born and grew up in Israel. I'm Israeli. And I was a few times in the summer program of Chabad. And if you heard about the Merkaz Shlichus, this is the summer program, students going around communities. And I had to be in Hamburg in the past in that summer program. And I spent also a year in Berlin. So I got to see the way the communities function in Germany. And I thought it's a nice place to to ask for shlichus, to establish a Chabad house. And this is how my wife and I, we got here and we established the Chabad local. I don't know if you know, but I will give you just a small background about what's special about doing activities in Germany. Because in Germany, different than United States, there are very official communities. And those communities are really partners of the state or the city. And there is a contract between the community and the city that the community provides Jews with all the service needed, and the city is also paying to some of those activities. And every member in the community pay his taxes to the city and an additional tax for the community. So it's a very interesting system. And back then, when we came here, the community actually said, very nice that you come, but actually we don't need you. We have a community. That community is functioning already for many years. And we have our own synagogue, we have our kindergarten, we have our cemetery, and we get along, we okay. And I did not say, but I knew from all three institutes that they just told us, the most active institute was the cemetery, because the synagogue was open on Shabbos, and the kindergarten was a new kindergarten, and the cemetery, unfortunately, was very active, especially because since 1990, many Russian Jews came to Germany, and a lot of them came very old. So, that's life, that life's end in cemetery. And this was a very active place. And we decided to try to work in the community, to respect the community, and to look for additional ideas and programs that does not exist in the community. So slowly we added more and more activities, and I make it short, about 8 years later, I was elected to be the rabbi of the city and rabbi of the community. And as Hamburg, it's a state, Hamburg is not only a city, so and officially what they call in German Landesrabbiner, which means state rabbi of Hamburg. What's the meaning of being a state rabbi? In those 10 past years, actually a bit before, so we opened a Jewish school. As I said, the kindergarten was here. We started Hebrew school, Sunday school, and we saw the potential. We saw there are so many Jewish children. We need to open a school. And it's already 13 years ago. We opened the school with 12 children. And what very special was that the school was opened in a building that my grandfather went to school before the war. Because my grandfather, the father of my father, he was born here in Hamburg, and he went to school at that very building. And the city gave us the building back for school reason. And you know, it's not easy to open a school. So we opened that school 13 years ago with 12 children. And we are very proud that today we have about 200 children in the school after 13 years. This is a very nice achievement because, you know, to open a school, it's hard, and to continue that school, it's even harder, and it's even more difficult to go on with the school. So this is one of the, if I look back on the years that we are here, this is one of the things I think that really very impressive, that in this building, if you ask in Hamburg, who knows where is the Talmud Torah building, because it's written on the front of the building, Talmud Torah since 1911. So everyone knows where the Talmud Torah. And then in that building, we reopened that, the institute of the school. And as I said, we have 200 children in the school. We have about 60 children in the kindergarten. And we must say the Jewish life totally changed in the past, in those 10, 13 years ago. To that, we started also in a Chabad house. We have an educational center. And in addition to different activities, Sunday and elderly classes, we also have, we started a kollel, which is an institute of students learning to be rabbis. And some of our graduates, they are rabbis in small towns in Germany, like Lübeck in the north, or Rottweil in the south of Germany. So this is some of the activities that we have. I'm going to show you later. I prepared some pictures about our that you can see our activities. But I want to go back, you know, just a little bit personally. As I said, my grandfather was born here in Hamburg, and his grandfather, who came from Russia to Antwerp, also he moved to Hamburg to live by his grandchildren, and he was moving actually back and forth between Antwerp and Hamburg. In Antwerp, he was dealing with diamonds, you know, on the Bursa in Antwerp, but going back and forth Hamburg and Antwerp. He was already connected or friendly, if I can say friendly, with the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, which is the father-in-law of our Rebbe, already from Russia. They knew each other. They had, when the Rebbe went on vacation, so he was inviting him also to join him on vacation in order that his daughters will play with his daughters. And this connection went on in Russia, later in Germany, and also came to the next place, which is the United States of America in New York. And when the Shoah started, when the Holocaust started, my great-grandfather took his 4 children from Hamburg, and they went to Rotterdam. His wish was to come to the United States and America. But as we all know, the Americans were not easy, and they did not let all Jews coming from Europe to get to America. So what he did was really smart. What he did, he told his wife and children, you should stay in Rotterdam. He got some cash. He was a businessman. He did very, very nice. And he got some cash and he asked as a tourist to go to the United States. And he went on a boat from Rotterdam to New York. When the boat came to New York, he went right away to a bank and he opened an account. He put the money in the account and he asked for a print of his account. And he ran back to that ship and made the way back to Rotterdam. When he got to Rotterdam, he asked for a meeting by the embassy, American embassy. And he showed the ambassador and he said, I want to immigrate with my wife and 4 children to New York. And this is a print of my account in New York. So the ambassador looked at the account and said, oh, this is nice. You have enough money for the family. So I'm going to give you a visa and you can go right away with your wife and 4 children. This is the way they made it from Rotterdam to the States and leaving a lot of his belongings also in Hamburg. His father and mother-in-law, which were at that time in Antwerp, they could not join them, but from New York, he was trying to get them a visa to get also to the United States. And finally, after a long walk, he got a visa and he got tickets for the last boat leaving Portugal to the States. I think it was the last boat leaving Europe to America in Nazi time. But they had a problem to get from Paris to Portugal. They had some difficulties to get from Paris to Portugal, and because the work that they did in New York was also connected to the 6th Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak of Lubavitch. So he told the Rebbe, listen, you are looking for tickets to your daughter and your son-in-law, which is the Rebbe, and I have tickets to my in-laws, but my in-laws having some difficulties to go to the boat. And in order not to lose that, so I'm going to give you the tickets, and you should use the tickets to your daughter and your son-in-law. And with those tickets, the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin exactly 80 years ago, from yesterday, they arrived in the United States. And why I'm telling you the story is, first of all, because it's connected to the day yesterday. And it's also something which I'm big fan of that project that is in Europe and especially in Germany. I don't know if you heard about it. It's called Stolpersteine. Stolpersteine means stones that if a person sees them, is falling down by his feelings when he sees these stones. And those stones, you know what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show. Can I share?
Yes, you should be able to share. Yes.
1 second. So let me. Okay. So I want to open here something and 1 second. One second. Okay, so now let me, I'm going to do it. Okay. Okay, so do you see that now?
Yes, we see it.
Yeah. So these stones, I don't know if anyone saw it already in the past. There is a German guy, he lives in Cologne. His name is Gunther Demning, and he's not Jewish. And he, many years ago, he came up with the idea, what can I do to remember the Jews that got killed in the Shoah? And he came up with the idea to make those stones. They are pretty, you can see the size. This is a child's finger. You can see the size. And these stones, they put in front of every house that the person who used to live, the person where you used to live. Those two stones are for my great-great-father and great-grandmother, which I just told the story that the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, they got their tickets, and because of that tickets, the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin came to the United States. They unfortunately could not come. They were in Frankreich, they were in France, and they were taken from France to Auschwitz, and they were murdered, they were killed in Auschwitz. And these stones are in the house in the front of the house here in Hamburg, where they used to live. And actually this finger is the finger of my son, which his name is Levi, and he pointed also his name. My son name is Levi, is after my father, and my father is named after him. And this is an example of a house that have only 2 stones, but there are houses that have 5 stones, and there are even houses that have 20 stones in front of the house, because that 20 people, adults, children, got killed in Auschwitz or other camps, and he puts in the front of the stone, which actually giving me and everyone in Germany, like never let us forget what was here in Germany in the past. Like whenever I go on the streets, I see them, they are on the sidewalk. So you see them, and I have many times surprises. I see very nice houses, and then I see in front of the house also stone, and I know, okay, this nice, beautiful house was built 100 years ago by a Jew, and he used to live here in the house. So this story is just about to relate also the family and the date of yesterday. And I just want to go a little bit through pictures that shows activities, and then also just to tell more about our community. 1 second. And also to tell also about our community, and also about the project that we are really very proud that we're doing now. So I want to go with, so let me, okay, so you see the pictures? You see now next picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this picture is 2004. This was my grandfather, my late grandfather, that was born in Hamburg. He actually never wanted to come back to Germany since he was a child, but he couldn't come to Germany, you know, especially that his grandparents got killed in Auschwitz. But he agreed to come because we came, and he came for the opening of the Chabad house in the year 2004. So this is one of the, you know, in the beginning, one of the milestones in the beginning. Now I'm just going to go through different activities. Some of them you know, some of them I'm going to focus more about. This is also one of the first activities we did back then. You know, regular, I'm going to focus only about the interesting, you know, day camp. You see, I look here much younger. It's also 10 years ago, maybe. I just collected from all the years. And this is also in the old Chabad house. It's also Purim, Sukkot, some grill. This is now in the new Chabad house for 2017, the Sunday school. We are here a team of 4 shluchim and 4 rabbis that working together. So one of them, Rabbi Havlin. And as I said, we have a kollel. So we had some important visits. So the chief rabbi of Israel back then, today is the chief rabbi of Jerusalem, came also to visit us. And the chief rabbi today, Rabbi Lau, was here also 2 years ago, because we were ordinating 5 rabbis, and he came special to that ordination. And this was the ceremony of the ordination in the main synagogue of our community. It was really a very important, nice event with a lot of guests, including the mayor of Hamburg, the chairman of our community, the chief rabbi, minister, and also the rabbis that came. This is a regular morning service. This is also many years ago. We had the new Torah. Okay, let me go and see. Okay, so now before I come to what we see here, I just want to go back actually 400 years. 400 years ago, the first Jews came to live in Hamburg. First of all, was some Portuguese who came from Portugal, and they established their own small community. And later, some Ashkenazic people came, and the Hamburg community became actually one of the important and famous communities of Germany and Europe through the big rabbis that were fishing here in the community. Like, I don't know if you heard some names like Rabbi Jonathan Eibeshitz, Rabbi Yaakov Emdin, are very, very big famous rabbis, and they all buried in a very old cemetery, 400 years old cemetery in the city of Hamburg, in a part of the city called Altona. Actually, the UNESCO just like Germany just applied that UNESCO will accept that cemetery as a World Heritage. And if they will accept it, it will bring a lot of visitors from all over the world. But I always said that for us, it's already World Heritage because not only because the stones are so nice, because, you know, when you study Torah and you will learn Jewish laws and you're learning some thoughts and books that were written here in Hamburg. So it's really something special. It's totally different. You know, we have our rabbinical college and we're learning some Jewish laws. And if you learn the laws that here in Hamburg 300 years ago, 350 or 250 years ago were written, this makes really that we are connected to the past. And what we see here now, this is the main shul of Hamburg that was built in 1906. This is the plans, and there are two pictures from that time. You know, this is a postcard, Hamburg Neue Synagoge. It was new at that time, and this is another picture that shows how big was that building. Today, the school that I was talking about before is standing on that side, on the left side, actually here. And this spot is empty. From here to here, it's empty. And here there's a big building, bunker, that the Nazis built during the war. About 2 years ago, on Yom Kippur, I'm sure some of you heard, on Yom Kippur in the community of Halle in Germany, there was an attack. There was a Nazi who came. He wanted to kill all the people that were in the shul, in the synagogue. And thank God, there was a really miracle. He couldn't get in, and he just killed 2 German people who were just going by. This terror attack was really moving a lot of people in Germany, including politicians, press, and many other people that said, okay, all what we had till today, it's not that we, like, all what we thought till now, it's not what we really see now. We must rethink how can we protect Jewish life in Germany, because for politicians, Jewish life, you know, they're really supporting life. They're really watching that the communities are really doing okay and are really safe. So one of the journalists who interviewed me after this attack on Yom Kippur, they asked, what can we do for Jews in Hamburg? And I cannot tell why I said, let us build the synagogue, this synagogue that was destroyed by the Kristallnacht, by the November 1938, was one of the biggest synagogues in Germany. Let us build us that building back. And maybe I said it because, you know, as I said before, our school is growing. The synagogue we have today is fine, but it's not, you know, when we have bar mitzvah, when we do Seder Pesach, we're renting hotel, have to go out, we don't have enough place. And if we get that building back, then this can be very good for such a growing community as the Hamburg community today. And that journalist decided to put it as the headline of the article. And the next day was the headline of the article was, build us the synagogue again. And this was, as you say, as a snowball, because it was only the start and it was going, and the politician liked the idea and was campaigning about it. And what we're up to today, after 2 years, is that the government of Germany, not of Hamburg, of Germany, decided to support us to build this building again. It's going to be, it's a very high, tall building. I don't know, by meters, it's 40 meters. I don't know how much is by you, but it's really big. And I think it's going to be the expensive Jewish building, expensive synagogue in the world, because they going to give us 130 million euro to build that building, which I think it's very big amount. And I'm not telling you the story just, you know, to be happy, you know, we achieved something big. It's just also to let you understand how much the German government and the you know, the politician, and we have in Germany many good friends to you know, to Jewish life, to Israel. There are many good friends. They really want to do big, serious things to show how much they're happy that we are here. And I want to, before, I think the Rabbi wants to go to some questions, but before I want to just to say actually one point. You know, the many years ago when someone went, I mentioned already before, the program Merkaz Shlichus. This is the summer program of Chabad. And myself, I was again in Hamburg, I was in a few other cities in Germany. And sometimes you think, you know, I was spending a day, I was spending 2 days, I don't know if I did anything. And let me close that. And many years ago, when one of the students that was in such a trip, he wrote the Rebbe that I was in that city, and we were a couple, two people, and said we couldn't do anything, and I don't know, maybe we just waste a few days. And the Rebbe wrote him back that you never know who saw you, and you never know what came to their mind, what came to the vision, like maybe just remind them about the grandparents, the great-grandparents. And this is a very big thing. And this is something which I think a lot when I walk the streets of Hamburg, and everyone can see that I'm Jewish. So either way, there are some Jews that don't feel safe to say that they're Jews, and they see a Jewish person like this. And also there are non-Jewish people that, you know, some of them, very often people come over and say, you know, my grandfather was Nazi, and I'm so happy to see Jewish people walking on the streets like this. So it really makes, you know, it's make big impression for Jews and non-Jewish people. And I just want to tell you one story. Actually, also that way, I have a friend, his name is Simon, and we were meeting every Thursday, just learning together. Sometimes we did it by walking, sometimes he came to my house. And there was one Thursday night, we were sitting in my house and learning, and my wife was baking chalot for Shabbat. And you know, when the chalot are baking for Shabbat, the house smells very good. And because of the smell, so she came and she said, "I'm sorry for disturbing," but she gave a bag with 2 chalot to Simon, and he said, "I don't want you to go out and leave the smell here. Take 2 chalot for you home also for Shabbat. I want you also to enjoy it." He was really happy. He took the chalot and he went. The next day, he wrote me an email and he said, "You think that we finished our class with me going with the chalot, but it was only the beginning." And he said, "I went on the train to go home in the subway. And he said, I was sitting in the 4 seats, you know, 2 and 2. And in front of me were two girls sitting. And he said, your wife gave me the chalot in a bag." There's a very famous shopping center in Germany called Karstadt. They have nice blue bags. And he said, in front of me were sitting 2 young women. Also, one of them also had the same bag from Karstadt. She went back from shopping. And you know, sometimes you sit and you, I don't know, some small talk. And those girls said like, "Oh, interesting, he's also from Karstadt." Like, you know, start to speak. And then one of the girls said, "You know what, but you should have something very special in your bag because it smells very good. My bag doesn't smell so good." And he said, "You know what, I'll tell you the truth, I'm Jewish. I was just learning with my rabbi and his wife were baking chalot for Shabbat. And this is the chalot." And she said, "Oh, I'm also Jewish. Tell me more about it." And only because of the smell of the chalot, he was inviting her to come to spend Shabbos with her, and was through the smell of the chalot connection to another Jewish soul that just going around in Hamburg. Rabbi, I can tell many other ways and different stories, but you know your people, you know your community, and you know if it's time for questions. So
it's such a beautiful story. I think people wouldn't forgive me unless I asked for more stories. That's such a beautiful story. You have more like that?
You know, sometimes if you have many stories that you that you live with them, you don't see it so special. But you know, if we speak about what you do, you know, I can tell you another story. This was, I don't remember what year was it, but I got once a call from a Shaliach, a rabbi, I think it's from LA, that someone in his community have a friend which is an hour from Hamburg, and he's sick and he really wants someone to visit him. And I said, you know, I will do it. I was pushing it, but then finally I did it. I went. This was Jewish guy. It was about 60, and he was he came sick. I don't know how you call it in English. It's called tareshet nefotza. It's kind of sickness that there's no medicine for it. Just the man goes down and down and down till he dies. And he was crying that he was married to a non-Jewish woman, and he said, as long as I was healthy, everything was fine, but I became sick. She just threw me away, and I'm here in an all-day job, but I'm 60. So I spoke to him, was really, you know, it was really touched. I put a mezuzah on his door, and I went back home. A few months later, it was Pesach, and I took the family to a big park, big park, which is also an hour from Hamburg. And on the way to the park, I see a sign, and the sign said the name of that city where I was a few months before. And I said, one second, I know that city. And I said, oh, Mr. Kafri is in there, so let's visit him. So my wife said, you know, we came to the park, so let's go to the park, and when we finish, you're going to visit him. And I said, oh, it's Pesach now, so even though it's after the Seder, but I want to give him matzot. And you know, every Chabad rabbi have plenty of matzot in his car. So you know what, I'm going to give him matzot. And after we finished the park, it was already late, kids were very tired, but said, we must stop there. So I drive there, I get to the place, and I take two daughters. My two daughters said, let's go, we're just gonna make a Jew happy. So we go, we get to his room, and he's not there. So I asked one of the sisters, the workers, can you tell me where's Mr. Kafri? And she said, who are you? And I said, I'm his rabbi. And, in Germany, to tell someone something's private, it's like the biggest fail to do. You never give a number to someone without permission. You never tell any address without permission. So she said, I cannot tell you where's him because I don't know who you are. I said, listen, I'm his rabbi. Tell me what's with him. He said, he's not doing well. I said, so please tell me. He's in the hospital. So I said, no, I cannot tell you. I said, tell me at least, tell me which city. So she told me it's a small town near. So we went back to the car and I told my wife, listen, I think it's hashgacha pratit. It's everything comes from Hashem's that we arrived here. And he's in hospital, so we must go. So I drove to the other city. It was a very small, not a long way, a small town. And I get to the hospital, I take my daughters again. And it was really, really small hospital. It was very late. The front door was closed. I rang the bell and someone opened the door and she said, okay, I can let you in, but please don't bring your children. So I took them back to the car. And she took me to the doctor, and the doctor told me, Mr. Kafri is in a very, very serious situation. I want you to understand. He explained me. And I said, I want to see him. So we went to his bed. It was totally connected all around with a lot of, all the machines. And he said, I don't know if Mr. Kafri is awake or not because he's under a lot of medicine, but speak to him. And he was watching, he was standing and watching, and I took his hand and I started telling him, today's Pesach, I brought you matzah, and I want you to know that we think about you, we know what's with you, you're not alone. So it just, I was talking to him, and then I had to leave, and I told the doctor.
I'm watching something right now.
And I told the doctor, please, if you need anything or any question, call me. This is my number. We drove back home. We got home, was almost middle night. Few minutes later, the doctor calls me and he said, Mr. Kafri just passed away. And I couldn't sleep. I said, he was waiting for us to come and tell him that, we know where are you, we are really worried about you, we're going to take care of you. And even that moment, I did not know how important it was, because I was trying right away to arrange that he would be buried in a Jewish funeral. And it was not easy because his wife had a lot of argument and she really wanted money. So I said, without being there, without that God will send us to that day, to that park and seeing him. So every step we do, every move we do, sometimes we don't understand why we do it, or we don't really see why we do it. But there's Hashem, God takes us and moves us from place to place. And every step we do, there is a reason, there is a goal for it. Sometimes we do it, we know it, sometimes we don't know it. Yeah.
Wow, very beautiful stories. Okay, let's see if we can go to some questions. I'm sure the audience has some questions. I also have a couple of questions. It was interesting to hear what you said about the school and the rebuilding of the shul. I don't know if you mentioned it and I missed it, but how many Jews live in Hamburg and in the surrounding areas?
We have, as I said, we have a community. And I explained before the way the community works. So members, official members in the community, we have about 3,000 members. Which means this is Jews that pay taxes.
So that's families, essentially.
No, 3,000 members. No, okay. We have members. Some taxes, only families pay taxes, but members, it's 3,000. And there are many more Jews that don't. This being a member in a community in Germany, it's a very traditional system going back some 100 years. And many Jews, young Jews, Israelis, and other people don't feel that they need to be official members. So, you know, some of them come even to services, some of them join us for programs, but they're not official members. So the estimate number is even like 3 or 4 times more. You know, Hamburg is a big city. There's 1.8 million. Actually, you know what I'm thinking now? Hamburg is actually very proud of them. And Hamburg have only very few sister cities in the world. Very few. And one of them is Chicago. Yeah. They have Shanghai, Chicago, St. Petersburg. Very few, I think like 5 or 8. They don't accept more. And one of them is Chicago. So Hamburg is a very big city. And again, so we have in the city, because I mostly work in the city, there are small cities around. As I said, one of my students from the Rabbinical College is the rabbi of Lübeck, which is an hour from Hamburg. We have activities also in Kiel, which is also another hour. But in Hamburg, there's enough to do.
What about intermarriage rates? What's intermarriage like in your community?
I don't have numbers, but it's unfortunately is like all over, like in America, like all over. You know, about 50 years, I think it was about 50 years ago, many Persian Jews came from Iran to Hamburg, because Hamburg is a port city. And there was a very big Persian community here. And they were, you know, Persian Jews are very traditional. And I must say that for Persians, intermarriage, this is something which never be, you know, there's maybe, I don't know, 1% or 2% they do. And what they did is they sent their kids to United States, to their big communities like LA, like Five Towns, Great Neck, and slowly they follow their own children to get to the United States. So the Persian community became smaller because of the question of intermarriage. Some of them are still here, but this is something really special to see how they really, you know, educated their kids, and also watching that they should go early enough and be in a safe place for them.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to the audience. If you're on the Zoom and you have a question, please go ahead and unmute yourself and just jump in and ask the question. If you're on the phone, you can press star and then 6 to unmute yourself, and then go ahead and ask the question.
What about kashrus?
Kashrus?
As
What?
obtaining full kosher food, etc.
A good question. We are about 4.5 hours away from Antwerp. Antwerp is the next religious community. Antwerp is like ballpark or like Brooklyn, and there's always everything there. And since few years, there's an online shop that many in our community use. But we also have a chain of supermarket that one of them in the Jewish area is selling some kosher products, but not enough that we need. So that's why we also producing some kosher products here. Like we do every Sunday, we do milk products like cheese and milk, Chalav Yisrael. I have a guy, one of my people that goes every Sunday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And this is the only place in Germany that that we do Chalav Yisrael. And we have a bakery that we do. We have some different products that we do, you know, local, but mainly the products coming from Antwerp, from France, and in the past 10 years, there was 2 or 3 people who were trying to open kosher store. The problem is that Hamburg is a very expensive place, and they could not afford the rent of that store, and that's why a year later they closed the store. Now we are renovating the Chabad house, and inside the Chabad house we are preparing now a place for kosher store. So hopefully this will be the solution, and hopefully that in a few months the place will be ready for store.
Very nice.
Rabbi, before the war, before the Nazis took over Germany, what was the Jewish population of Hamburg?
Hamburg was the second largest community in Germany. There was about 26,000 Jews living in Hamburg. There were many synagogues. You know, you can see it only. We have today 8 old cemeteries around the city that really can still show, you know, this is the rest of the history that was not destroyed by the Nazis. And all other synagogues except maybe one building, they were all destroyed. But this was one of the big communities in Germany.
Rabbi, how is the social life for young people there?
Social life?
Yeah, you know, young people want to meet each other, and that's how you keep the tradition, the family going, because people need to know each other. I know in Chicago there is a social life here that we do introduce, or fight them for Shabbos or whatever. So how do people meet people there?
Yeah, we have different programs. So we have, first of all, in the community we have, as every Jewish community in Germany, there's a group they call Jugendzentrum, young center for young people, and this is for teenagers. They meet every Sunday and they do some activities. In addition to that, there's sorry.
And that's very good. That's very important.
Yeah. This is in every city, and actually even once a year there is a big event for all of those youth centers from all over Germany that they have a program together, and it's moving from place to place. They call it Jurovision. It's like the Eurovision, but they call it Jurovision. And there's about, I don't know, 1,400 kids, teenagers come from all over Germany. They meet for a long weekend, a Shabbaton. And then we have for sure also students' activities. They are different, now, unfortunately, because of the Corona time, we must say we almost forgot what's the meaning of being social, in the social events.
Yes.
But hopefully very soon we'll get back to normal life.
What about older people, young adults who are in their 20s and their 30s, or people who get divorced and whatever situation, and they want to meet somebody else, someone who else is in their way of life?
So we have in the I don't want to call it middle age, because the middle age is a bit later, but those who don't feel any more students, and they are also not elderly people. So this is a part that, as everywhere, it's very hard to attract the people, because everyone has his own ideas and wishes. So again, we have my wife is organizing once a month breakfast for women. She call it, in German they call it Frauenfrühstück, and usually there's about 80-90 women that come, and it's a mix. It's a mix of young and old women. Even it became so nice and traditional that some of the women ask us always to announce before the next date, in order that she take day off from the war, because they don't want to miss it. and it's starting with a short program, and I'm also teaching something, and then they're spending the next few hours together, and then there is Sundays meetings, so there is some cultural meetings. The community we have event for elderly people every Wednesday. We call it Mittwoch Cafe. It's the coffee of Wednesday. Some of them play chess, some of them just come and eat something. So we're trying as every community, and we always it's good to look what other people do, and then you're learning, then you have some good ideas.
I have a friend of mine, she used to live in Chicago. She's no longer in Chicago. She lived in Arizona. She moved out of Arizona, and now she's in New York. But she's from Germany. She's from Germany originally.
Where in Germany?
I think were you talking about? That I don't know exactly, but I know. But she left Germany, and her brother was in there too. She lost her brother. But she's a very happy person right now where she's at. But she has that German accent as you do, and I known her over 30 years. 30 years we've been friends.
So anyone here is from Germany, or anyone here was in Germany already for visit or family?
My family's from Russia and Poland. Yeah. But they've been through the Holocaust. But my husband's family, my husband's mother is from Germany, and she is a Holocaust survivor.
Where in Germany?
I do not know. But her father took her and his family and 14 other families out of Germany before Hitler. But they were in the camp. They got out of the camp, and somehow or another, this man is wonderful. He passed away years and years ago. He took all those people and got them out of Germany and saved their lives. And then these people came to Chicago, a lot of them, and got businesses and everything else. And let me make things short. I've been married 39 years. That man, his family, those people made my wedding.
No.
They paid for my flowers and stuff and everything. You can't be.
Very nice.
Are there any other questions from anybody in the audience? I want to thank you very much, Rabbi Basutsky. It was a very wonderful, very informative and interesting presentation. And I know that I learned a lot. I'm sure that everybody else learned a lot as well. Thank you so much again for sharing your time and all that knowledge with us, and the wonderful stories. And I want to give you a bracha that you should have a lot of blessings and success. And with Hashem's help, we should meet in Yerushalayim with the arrival of Mashiach now.
Amen. Thank you for inviting me, and it was nice to be with you. And I wish you all also big bracha and atzlacha and all you do, and be Gesundheit, as in Germany.
Thank you.
Yes, amen.
Okay.
All right, Gesund, good health to all.
All the best.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.